Wow, what a way to kick off the 2022 season with the all-new Knicks Gen car, which had some flaws, and not only with some flaws, we also had some television coverage flaws, but don't worry, all in all, this was a really great Daytona 500, enjoyed it. Austin Cindric, a rookie, gets the win in only his second Daytona 500 start. Unbelievable scenes. We have a lot to talk about from the 2022 Daytona 500. Hey guys, now it's Carmel48 back again. Welcome back to another episode of NRR. And in today's video, we're going to be reviewing the 2022 Daytona 500 from the Daytona International Speedway. And man, what a race. Just what a race. We had spills, chills, and some kind of hiccups in this race, you know, with the television coverage by Fox, which was not perfect, and we had some hiccups with the next gen car at the beginning of the race. And overall, it was great racing overall. There wasn't really a lot of choo-choo train. There was a lot of it in stage 2, but fairly decent. We had double wide racing and stuff, so good. Thank God that we didn't have the race like we did last year, which was what a lot of fans were expecting, because we have a new car with a part shortage, so a lot of people thought it was going to be a freight train. But no, some really high intense racing with some high intense crashes, so we'll get to that in a minute. But let's go ahead and review our top 10 drivers. Finishing first was Austin Cindric. Austin Cindric in only his second Daytona 500 and only in his 8th start, and as a rookie in his first full season in the Cup Series, wins the great American race, the Daytona 500. Just an unbelievable scene for the young kid. He started 5th in this race, so we already knew he had to fast forward, and just an amazing sight. And it's also really cool that he's able to win this race on Roger Penske's birthday, so happy birthday to the captain. And it's also funny how the moment Keselowski leaves, the 2 car wins the 500, but but still, whatever. Austin Cindric was able to get the job done. He was running up there towards the lead, towards the midway point and towards the end of the race, and some people even said that Cindric is the guy to watch out for after that wreck at the end of stage 1, and I agree with them, because Cindric stayed with Blaney and they were running really well. So congrats to Austin Cindric and the 2 team. We'll see how the rest of his rookie season campaign will go, as we already know he most likely punches his ticket into the playoffs, so we'll see how Austin Cindric will progress for the rest of his rookie season. Finishing second for the second time in the Daytona 500 is Bubba Wallace, as he finishes second just like he did in 2018. It was a close one, but wow, Wallace actually had a chance. Really, if you think about it, if Blaney actually hooked Cindric into the wall head on, Bubba Wallace would have won this race. But Bubba Wallace still had a great day overall. He started 16th in the race, so started about mid-pack, so a good race overall for Bubba Wallace. He was running pretty well with the Toyotas early in the race and started to separate from them, and then he started to make his way back. He had the lead for a bit with like 20 something, not 20, but like 40 something laps to go, so he was definitely in contention for the win. Just came up a bit short like he did 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I don't know how long 2018 was anymore, but still close finish for Bubba Wallace, as he finished first in the last restrictor plate in the Gen 6 car and finished second in the first race for the Gen 7 car restrictor plate race. So we'll see how Bubba Wallace does for the rest of the season, but after having some good speed in today's race, watch out for Bubba Wallace in the 23 car for the rest of the season, because I feel like they're definitely gonna progress better than they did last year. Finishing in third was Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe, he actually had a pretty sucky start to the beginning of the race, because I do remember that he actually spun out. I believe because I think some drivers were like getting loose because they didn't even know the caution came out, and so Briscoe just got loose and he spun out and stuff, but didn't matter. He was making his way throughout the field, and you gotta think, if you wreck early, it's not over yet, because the Daytona 500 is a long race, 500 miles, 500 miles, 200 laps, and 3-hour race, so there's a plenty of time for them. They started 9th in the race, able to get a nice solid 3rd place finish, so what a good race for Chase Briscoe overall. I expect to see a lot of good things from this team and just him overall over this season after having such a good start to the 2022 season, so we'll see how Briscoe does going into the next race at Fontana. Finishing in 4th was Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney once again coming up oh so close of winning winning the Daytona 500. He came up short in the 2020 race when he was battling against Denny Hamlin after the big Ryan Newman crash, and he comes up short again because Cindric, it looked like kind of was trying to block Blaney, and Blaney hit the wall, nearly clipped Cindric, but then Blaney wrecked himself, so it does suck. But he had a good race, stayed with Austin Cindric, stayed with the drivers that showed up late in this race, and he was just very close, just could not get it. And he just stayed clean for the rest of the day. So it does suck for Ryan Blaney at the end of the day. But hey, what does he have to lose? He still has a ton of years left in NASCAR. So we'll just have to wait and see if he can get the 500 next year. The year after that, we'll just have to wait and see. But overall, a good race for Ryan Blaney and the 12 team. And rounding out the top 5 and 5th is Aric Almirola, who started deep in the field, started 38th in this race and rebounds to get a nice 5th place finish. And overall, a really good race for them. They kept it clean, unlike last year where they couldn't keep it clean because of a certain number 20 car. But hey, Almirola kept it clean for his final Daytona 500, able to get a top 5. It's not a win, but once again, he comes up pretty short of it. So overall, if I'm Aric Almirola, I'd be happy with a nice solid 5th place finish because, you know, it's better than nothing, and you know, it's going to be his final time running the Daytona 500, so it does suck, though, for Aric Almirola, because he's won at this track before. He wanted to get the Daytona 500, but unable to. But if I'm at Aric Almirola, I'd be happy from where I started to where I finished. So a really good race for Aric Almirola overall. Let's see if he can have a really good season, and let's see if this can carry some good momentum into the next few races. Finishing 6th was Kyle Busch. What an eventful race for Kyle Busch. He was leading the Toyota pack pretty well at the beginning of the race. Then towards the end of stage 1 with that Harrison Burton wreck, Kyle Busch got collected. Him and William Byron went to the inside part of the track. Byron hit the wall head on. Kyle Busch just slid, but he did take some damage from that. They had it fixed, and he was almost running into the lead later in the race, and then Kyle Busch was able to get a nice solid 6th place finish after starting 10th in the race. So overall for Kyle Busch, a really consistent day, a really nice comeback day from where they were at the beginning of the race. So if you're Kyle Busch, you're probably just happy that you didn't DNF. So good overall for Kyle Busch, but he's still looking for that Daytona 500 win. Will he get it? We'll have to wait and see. Finishing 7th was the reigning Daytona 500 champion from last year, Michael Mcdowell. Michael McDowell also had a pretty good race. He started 6th today and was able to get 7th, so it wasn't really a bad one and stuff. He started in the top 10 and finished in the top 10, so if you're Michael McDowell, you're probably just happy with the good result after all the incidents that have been going around you. So McDowell's had a really good speed weeks because he had a good finish in the dual races, finished 2nd in the second one, and got a good starting position and had a good finishing position. So if you're Michael McDowell for Team Front Row, you're just happy for the result, and you're just going to take that and move that momentum on to the next week. So overall, good race for Michael McDowell. We'll see how he does for the rest of the season. Okay, I don't have a 15 car, but whatever. Finishing in 8th was David Ragan. David Ragan, what a good race for him. He started in 34th in today's race and was able to get a nice solid 8th place finish. So David Ragan, what a race for him, because not only did he have a bad start, but a great finish, he also threaded the needle like so many times in this race. He threaded the needle, and I believe one of the wrecks I think is where Tyler Reddick, he had that issue. And then another one where he threaded the needle was when Harvick wrecked and took out like Gregson, Gilliland, and Larson. And then he threaded the needle again with that one incident where Ricky Stenhouse wrecked. But then he couldn't thread the needle on the last lap crash where him, McDowell, Keselowski, and Blaney wrecked. So that does suck, but he still got a nice solid top 10 finish. So good finish overall for David Ragan. I love to see when he comes back and runs the Daytona 500. So hopefully we see him in next year's Daytona 500 and possibly get a win. I have to wait and see. Finishing in 9th was Brad Keselowski, who was my pick to win this race, really just coming into the weekend in general. I actually thought Keselowski had a chance, and he did. He was very close. Keselowski started 3rd in this race. He did not really gain that much. He finished 9th, but still a decent race overall for Keselowski. A really good speed weeks overall just for him and the race team, except, well, slight controversial one with the wheel incident after they won the dual races, but still a nice solid finish for Brad Keselowski. He did have a couple of incidents in today's race, starting with the crash at the end of stage one. He gave a push to Burton and knocked Burton loose, and Burton crashed into some others, and Burton even flipped, and he wasn't happy with Keselowski, and that was the same thing that happened to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. later in the race, which was a heartbreaking moment for him. So Keselowski didn't really he looked like Bad Brad out there today, but I don't think it was intentional. And then another thing that happened is that we had all of these wheel issues with Kaz Grala. He lost a wheel, and apparently that would be a 4-race suspension for his crew chief, and that's a part-time team. So Kaz Grala most likely will not have that same crew chief going into the money team's next race, which they announced would be Coda, that they would try to qualify for. And then Haley lost to Tyler, and he had a brake issue. So Keselowski was probably right about their safety fixture for their tires and stuff, so maybe Keselowski has a point, but they're still probably going to find them. We'll have to wait and see. But overall, a decent finish for Brad Keselowski and the 6 team. We'll see if their momentum can continue in the next race. And rounding out the top 10, in 10th, was our only Chevy driver who finished in the top 10, Chase Elliott, the number 1 driver who kept his nose clean most of the day. He started 11th, finished 10th. So not really a big gain for them, but Chase Elliott mostly kept it clean. He was involved in that one incident with Gregson, Gilliland, Harvick, and stuff. He just slid, didn't really take any much damage, but was able to get a top 10 finish. So clean day overall for Chase Elliott. I bet he's just happy to finish the 500 and not wreck out of it. So decent race overall for Chase Elliott and the 9 team, and we'll see how they do in the next race. And now let's rate this race. This race was a really good one. This was probably the best one since 2020. I'm not sure and stuff, because of course the one last year was terrible, but we had some really good things from this race. 4 black team owners were in this race. You had Michael Jordan, Floyd Mayweather, technically, Brad Doherty, and you had the owner for NY Racing. I forgot his name. It's John something. I'm sorry. But also, that if you guys saw that Martrix Jr. Sherry Pollock's video at the beginning, before the race started, that one really pulled my heartstrings. So, man, I'm feeling for both of them. Hemrick and Briscoe had to start from the rear. Of course, Logano had to start from the rear because of a backup car and stuff. And we had those big incidents. We had that Harrison Burton wreck that collected Chastain, who had a fast car. Hamlin was good. Kyle Busch, Christopher Bell, Alex Bowman, who just cannot catch a break, just innocent bystanders, and William Byron as well. And Biffle, the Biff, had some fuel line issues, so that ended his day. Ty Dillon had the first speeding penalty of the season. Of course, it's Ty Dillon. And then Truex swept both stages, but then a heartbreaker for Truex. He was having such a good day, and he had that wreck that involved Kurt Busch, Reddick, Logano, and him, so that does suck overall. And a lot of cars came back to the pits after stage 1 for tire incidents. So that does show that there's something with that tires that NASCAR needs to make adjustments for. Just Goodyear overall. Also, to point out a fun fact, this was the first time in 17 Daytona 500s that Hamlin DNF. So that was something rare to hear about. And then also another thing about the Reddick incident. Reddick just lost the car. He just got loose and stuff. Someone said Villeneuve got into him, but I don't think he did. And also, for that wreck, Fox cut to a commercial as the wreck was happening. So I don't know what that was about. But then Gregson was out of the race. He was having such a good race. Jones had a good race. He wrecked. Larson wrecked. His restricted plate drought, it continues. Harvick slowed down for Buescher and Larson. So basically, he got sandwiched and got him loose. Took out Gregson, Gilliland, Larson, Jones. Reagan was able to thread the needle, like I said, and that brought out the red flag. And then, like I said, Stenhouse had that heartbreaking crash. People thought he could win this race, but he did not. Probably a crushing blow for Brad Doherty because they interviewed him before that wreck happened, so that was embarrassing. And then Wallace collected damage from that. Buescher, who was having a good race, also got collected in that one. And David Reagan, I was also thinking when he was studying the needle through 3 of those wrecks, it reminded me of the time Ryan Preece did that, like back in 2019. And then Austin Cindric basically wins the race. So this race was definitely a good one in my opinion. If I had to rate this race, I give it a solid 9 out of 10. It was a solid Daytona 500. Some things that probably stopped me from giving it a 10 was the terrible coverage from Fox. I did not like the coverage from Fox, and so missing some of the wrecks, going to commercial at the wrong time. And then, how can you predict that? So I'll give them that. And another thing was we had a lot of issues with the next-gen car with the tires now. Something that we've been discussing about the Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing and the Penske thing after the dual races. So I'll give this one a 9 out of 10, miscounting like all those incidents. But let me know what you guys would rate it in the comment section below. So here's some drivers that I want to recognize that had a good day. Starting off with Ty Dillon. Finished 11th. He had a really clean day. Wasn't really talked about that much, so he had a really decent finish. Next up, Daniel Hemrick, who had to start at the rear of the field, basically started like 33rd, or actually no, 39th or something, finishes 12th, so good comeback from that team. Martrix Jr. finished 13th, even though he won both stages, he did have a wreck that took him away from winning the race. Still getting a 13th place finish is good. And then the two Spire cars right here, you have the 77 and the 7, Corey LaJoie, Landon Castle. Both were not talked about at all during this race, and they both had a good finish, 14th to 15th. So those are some drivers that I recognize, or who I thought had a good race. Here's some others that I thought had a good race. Also, I don't have the right cars, okay? Just leave me alone. This is the best I'm doing. Cody Ware got 17th. A really good finish for him after he started like 32nd. So a really quiet day for Cody Ware. Had a good finish. Next up, this is supposed to be Jacques Villeneuve. Finished 22nd after he started dead last and went down a lap pretty easily. So really good rebound for them to get a 22nd place finish. Bowman, who wrecked pretty early, was able to continue and finish 24th. So a pretty decent comeback for them. And then right here, this is Kaz Grala, who had a bad start after having that wheel problem, but was able to get 26, which is not terrible. So those are some drivers that I thought had some good neutral days. Now on to the bad ones. Once again, don't have accurate cars, don't care, here we go. Finishing 16th was Chris Buescher. I thought he could have had a better finish, but got caught up in that late wreck with Stenhouse, so that does suck for them. Logano finishes 21st after having one of the fastest Fords through speed weeks, but then crashed in the duel and crashed out today. Still got a 21st place finish, but could have been better. Stenhouse had that heartbreaking crash that ended his chances of winning the 500. That does suck for him and for his team. Jones had a fast car, he wrecked. Harvick had a fast car, he wrecked. Heartbreaker indeed for Noah Gragson. Now was having such a underdog run, such a great run, Cinderella story gone wrong. Larson started from the pole, finishes 32nd, not a good finish for him. And then innocent bystander Todd Gilliland in his first career start gets 33rd. So 38 car, for the third year in a row, does not get a good finish in the 500. Now moving on to the next few drivers. Okay, next up, Christopher Bell finished 34th, got caught up in that wreck early. This is supposed to represent Greg Biffle. He had a fuel line issue. That does suck for NY Racing. Basically, their race ended within, the first few laps. Hamlin wrecked, like I said, 17 Daytona 500s, and this is his first DNF. Tyler Reddick had got loose. I think he said he had a brake issue or a tire issue, so that does suck for them. William Byron got caught up in a wreck. Innocent bystander gets 38th. Harrison Burton flipped. Good, thank goodness he was okay. Also, Myatt Snyder, thank goodness he was okay from yesterday's race. But Harrison Burton caught up in a wreck after getting pushed from Keselowski, and he flips. Sucks for Harrison Burton, who had a fast car. And Chastain, who also had a really fast car, gets dead last in this race. So that does suck for my boy Chastain. And those are all the drivers who I thought had a bad race. But that should do it for today's video. So guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. If you want to check out my gaming channel, NASCAR Gaming 48, link will be in the description below. Should be uploading a video up there tomorrow. If you want to check out my Instagram, link will also be in the description. And subscribe to this channel. Really appreciate those that have recently subscribed. Does mean a lot to me. But yeah, what a crazy race. It's been a lot of spills, chills, and thrills. We have some good news coming in. Danica Patrick is going to be commentating for the Vegas and Phoenix race. So cannot wait for that. She wasn't really the best commentator for SRX, but maybe she's really good with NASCAR. And then Matt Kenseth, we also know he's commentating for the next race at California, so that should be really cool to see. So that will do it for today. So I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. This is NASCAR Mobile 48. Peace out.